Good morning, everybody. I think we're ready to go here. Pierre's got us online, and so we'll call this meeting of, where we at? Senate Judiciary on Friday, March 1st. And we're going to consider 3 bills today. We got, first of all, I'd like to note that our good chairman is away on a family emergency, so we're running a little short-handed, and you'll have to put up with my annex today. We are really short on time today because of, we're supposed to be back upstairs at 9 o'clock, so we're gonna kind of hurry through these things. Our first bill to consider is Cold Case Database Investigations, House Bill 29 engrossed. Ms. Chambers, would you introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Kara Chambers. I'm with the Attorney General's office. This is obviously an interim bill, a committee bill, so I don't know how much you need to walk through, but this would be providing a $150,000 appropriation for DCI to develop their cold case database. And it provides procedures and adds new language to develop and maintain this database, to define that a cold case means a homicide or a felony sexual offense that remains unsolved for 2 years or more after being reported to a law enforcement agency, that the division shall adopt rules regarding how they will maintain this database, and that it also requires law enforcement agencies that have cold case committed or reported on or after January 1st of 1972 shall provide to the division information specific to the rule for the division for inclusion in the database. And again, just adding the term cold case to existing law that talks about DCI's coordinated system of identification for missing persons, and then adding cold case to the information that the division maintains. And with that, I think this is not new to you, so I will stand for any questions.
Senator Case.
Only one question, and it's an engrossed bill, but why? I can't find what they did in the House.
We changed, sir, Chairman, pardon me, Senator Case, if you go to page 2, line 11, the introduced act had a 3-year,
This is 2, okay.
and we moved it to 2. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Chambers? Senator Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we were given some data when we went through this, just kind of trying to remember in my mind, how many cold cases might we be looking at? Do you have any idea?
Chairman, Senator Schuler, we don't know what we don't know. And so I do believe Commander Cox had given an estimate. I don't recall it off the top of my head. I remember it was the Casper meeting, if that helps. I don't think they thought it would be too terribly onerous. I mean, it was in the hundreds, and they were going off of some information that was provided at the Sheridan meeting regarding cold case homicides that independent group had brought. But a lot of those covered cases that were on the Wind River that would not be included in this database. So don't know what we don't know. This is definitely sort of new territory, but we do think it will be a benefit to the local law enforcement agencies who might need that additional assist from DCI. Recall, this doesn't mandate that they turn over their investigation. All this does is that they put the data into the database so that we can try to use other states' fusion centers to help solve crime that maybe they see a pattern that emerged in another state and things like that. So again, not taking investigations away from the local, just turning over information to the database.
Senator Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've just kind of wondered, when we talked about this in the past, is it we get kind of territorial with our cases and people just don't pass information back and forth for, I don't even know what types of reasons they might not, but hopefully this will help within the state. But you're thinking maybe just having access to other states' information as well as being able to have agencies talk to each other might help. Is that correct?
Chairman Cooper, Senator Schuler, absolutely. Every state has a fusion center that they use to coordinate even within the state and then intrastate. And I'm a firm believer that more information is better. So yes, I believe this will be helpful.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Is there, I guess no more questions for you.
That's
We
fine.
covered this pretty well in the interim. We spent a lot of time on this. It was a good
Believe so.
project.
Yes.
Is there any other testimony in the room? Come on up and, oh, good morning. If you'd introduce yourselves and enlighten us on your thoughts here today.
Thank you, Chairman Cooper. My name's Kit Wentland, Governor Gordon's Special Counsel and Tribal Relations Policy Advisor, and then we'll introduce both liaisons.
Good morning, Chairman. Anita Roman, Northern Arapaho Tribal Liaison under Governor Mark Gordon.
Good morning, Chairman, distinguished committee. My name is James Sarles. I'm the tribal liaison for the Eastern Shoshone Tribe at Governor Mark Gordon's office.
Well, welcome to Senate Judiciary.
Thank you, Chairman. And our comments will be short, but just to say, public safety, solving cold cases is an important policy matter for Governor Gordon, especially when it comes to MMIP cases. While this is distinguished from MMIP, cold cases can also have some overlap. And so any effort that can help solve these longstanding unsolved cases is something that he supports, and he supports this bill as it stands.
While I can't speak directly for the Northern Arapaho Business Council, I do speak all the time with them, and watching the interim and the work that's been done, I support this work as well as Governor Mark Gordon's office.
Thank you. Sir?
Chairman, committee, yes, public safety, of course, is for all Wyoming residents, and it is important to Governor Gordon. He supports this bill, and my personal is that, if one case can be solved, I would think it would be a winner. And I appreciate your yes vote. Thank you.
Well, thank you, folks. Is there any questions for the group?
I'm good. Smart people, we should listen to them.
I think so. Senator Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, just to kind of piggyback on the question I asked before, have you seen any issues in the past with agencies not working with each other, the tribes versus maybe, Riverton area, Lander area? I mean, I don't know what the dynamics are there. I hope this will help, but have there been problems in the past with that?
This might be a unfair question for these guys. You know,
Laying it on the line here.
if you don't mind, I might take a crack at that. I represent
Sure.
this district, and two of the three are my constituents. Law enforcement's complicated involving the reservation. It's, we have Riverton PD, Lander PD, the Sheriff's Department, Tribal Police, and BIA involvement. It's very, very complicated. And you also have the FBI, who, is involved in a lot of cases so felonies are FBI cases on the reservation. So it is very complicated, but people do work hard, and we approach it with a good attitude. And I think that's the most important thing. We haven't solved all the problems about jurisdiction and things, but we are trying and committed. And sometimes I feel like if we talk about how bad we're doing all the time, it's not a good thing. We're actually doing some really amazing things. And I don't know. I'll set the stage for that and let it go to you guys.
Ms. Rowan, go ahead.
Chairman, Senator Schuler, actually, we're working on some trainings to just kind of have, more cross-jurisdictional cooperation. And I have to say that the BIA Chief of Police is really awesome. The Riverton Chief of Police, as well as the Lander Chief of Police. We've met with the FBI as well. And they all seem they all want to work together to just see what we can do, because, there's so many long-standing cases that could be solved. So I think that it's a lot more positive moving forward, and I just don't like to look in the past too much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. James, comments? Any other questions for the group? Senator Schuler?
Yeah, just to follow up on, Mr. Chairman, if I could, on the change that the House made. The fact that we went from 3 years to 2 years, do you guys feel comfortable with that? Is that something that you think would be a step forward?
Chairman Cooper, Senator Schuler, for the governor's office perspective, that's fine.
Okay. Not seeing any more questions. By the way, Senator Cation will get all the credit. These folks are in my district also as they come over into Hot Springs and the great Arapahoe Ranch. What a piece of Wyoming history that place is. So thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else in the room that'd like to testify this morning? Pierre, do we have anybody online? Okay, so committee, what's your pleasure?
Do pass.
Moved by Senator Case. Any discussion? Senator Schuler, you all good?
No, I think as, Ms. Chambers mentioned, I think we really worked this case. The only thing that I really felt bad about is that we could have gone even a step further by trying to maybe take a look at retired, law enforcement to maybe help us out. That part didn't make it through, but I just think the bill as it is in good shape and happy to support it.
Okay, there is a small appropriation on this bill of $150,000 for standing the database, and then the second year also for developing it. We'll consider that, and we'll have to re-refer it, but Pierre, if you'd want to do roll call?
Senator Case,
Aye.
Senator Furphy,
Excused.
Senator Schuler,
Aye.
Vice Chair Cooper,
Aye.
Chairman Landon.
Excused.
3 ayes, 2 excused.
Okay, the next bill on our calendar is House Bill 58. Would somebody want to run out and grab the good senator real quick, if she's off the phone? Welcome to Judiciary, Senator. Give us your thoughts on House Bill 58, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and sorry for being a minute late there. This is a bill that comes to you from your Select Committee on Tribal Relations, and I will tell you that we watched some of the work that you did this interim as well on cold cases, and I think there's a lot of public interest out there, so I won't re-hit those highlights. But we became aware of some private companies that provide forensic genetic genealogy, and for those of you who are unfamiliar what that is, it's a different method of looking and making connections using DNA analysis. And when you think of the term genetic or genealogy, usually that starts with one person and then kind of fans out of who their grandparents are and great-grandparents. This method allows for genealogy to kind of go forward-looking, and so the people that the companies that specialize in this work actually can help identify if you have human remains of a victim or of a person who committed the crime. If you have a certain number of DNA markers, there are companies that specialize in identifying those individuals. So what this bill would do, Mr. Chairman, it would set up a pilot project. We didn't want to insert it as a budget amendment because we wanted to complement some of the work that you were doing. So as you know, you're putting together a statewide database using the Department or the Division of Criminal Investigations. Our thinking was as law enforcement is compiling that information to create this database, they'll be in the process of reviewing some of these cases, and they might identify certain cases where this particular FGG method is appropriate. And so the idea would be, rather than hiring more staff for DCI, it would create a pilot program where they could select vendors and pass those cases and that information off to them, not the cases, just the DNA, to see if they can use this genetic genealogy to identify victims or people who committed crimes. And so the whole idea would be that DCI would set up a grant program using $150,000, and it would revert after 6 years. We had a lot of questions about whether or not that was the right amount, and I'm sure you're familiar with this issue as well. We visited with DCI to ask how many cold cases there are, and while we have an estimate, we don't have a firm number. So our thinking was, if there isn't enough cases where this $150,000 isn't being utilized, the money would simply revert. However, if as law enforcement's compiling this information and $150,000 isn't enough, at least we would have a better sense of what would be an appropriate amount and get a look to see just how effective this FGG protocol is for Wyoming. So that's the bill, Mr. Chairman. It received, I think, strong support in tribal relations, and as you know, cold cases is an important topic for our state. So although this came out of your Tribal Relations Committee, it would apply statewide. With that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Senator. I'm seeing that this actually lays hand in hand with the bill we just discussed. Is that how you're seeing this?
I very much see them as companion bills.
All right. Questions from the committee? Senator Schuler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only had one question on this, and it was on page 2 where they talk about the grant process. It doesn't really explain how that works. I guess various law enforcement agencies just put a proposal in, and then, how do they decide who gets what?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We wanted to give DCI max flexibility to set up a program that they thought would work best for them. So it's written broadly to give them that discretion.
Senator Case?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to compliment the chairwoman of the Tribal Relations Committee for her work on this and leading the committee through it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the senator?
And Mr. Chairman, I don't know if we'll have people on the line to testify, but when we heard from some of the people that are experts in this work, it's amazing how they can find the linkages, and they use private databases that have DNA, people that voluntarily want to get ancestral knowledge, they sign a consent and that information's available. So that's the kind of data they use. But for the victims that are able to find out, if they've lost a loved one, where their remains ended up, this is really impactful. And I think for $150,000, it's worth a good investment for us to look at and see if we can help some families in Wyoming.
Thank you, Senator. It's nice to see these kind of bills that help us move Wyoming into the 21st century to come forward. So,
Thank you.
any other questions for the senator?
One more.
Senator Schuler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I like the idea that this has thank you again for letting me speak. I like the fact that it has a sunset. I just keep wondering if we find out that there's quite a lot of things that come out of this pilot program. Would you consider maybe lifting the sunset? I mean, and maybe adding some more money? I mean, I have no idea how much we'll get in terms of, this pilot program, but just kind of wondering about that sunset.
Yeah, Senator Schuler, thanks for the question. Right now, the funds would revert after 2029, so that would give law enforcement, quite a bit of time, 5-6 years to compile this information. And certainly, if this money is expended quickly and there's a need, I think we'll hear information about just how much more money might be necessary. And certainly that wouldn't, the sunset, that wouldn't be applicable if we spend all this money down. But at least we'd have a sense of if we wanted to continue to fund looking at FGG for cold cases. The whole reason the sunset is there is we're a small state, and so there's a chance that maybe we don't utilize that money to its full extent, and so that's the only reason we thought it would revert. But I think this gives law enforcement lots of time to look at the cases they have and see if outsourcing it to these private companies makes sense.
Thank you, Senator. Is there any other testimony in the room? If you want to come on up, we'll welcome you back.
We're getting short of time. We're going to try to do the next bill, right?
We're going to try to do the next one. It's a pretty short bill.
It's going to be a little tough.
It's going to be a little tougher, yeah. If you'd reintroduce yourselves and tell us what your thoughts, we'd appreciate it.
Vice Chair Cooper, again, my name's Kit Wentland, Special Counsel, Tribal Relations Advisor for Governor Gordon.
Chairman Cooper's committee, Anita Roman, Tribal Liaison for the Northern Arapaho Tribe under Governor Mark Gordon.
Chairman Cooper, committee, James Sarles, Tribal Liaison to the Eastern Shoshone Tribe out of Governor Mark Gordon's office.
All right, thank you very much.
And Vice Chair Cooper will be short and sweet because I know you've got several bills. Long story short, same message as the past bill. Again, any effort that can help solve longstanding cold and MMIP cases is important to Governor Gordon for public safety for all Wyoming residents, especially as it relates to the MMIP epidemic that we have. So the governor does support this bill.
Okay. Ms. Roman?
Chairman, committee, while I don't speak directly for the Northern Arapaho Business Council and the tribe, I do work with them all the time, constantly, and I can feel comfortable that they're happy with the work that's done with this committee.
Okay, very good.
Again, just to reiterate that, the Governor Gordon does does approve this bill. We'd like to see it because public safety's, again, it's important to all of Wyoming residents. Again, you know, if this can help solve one case, it would be a winner. And thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for the group? Thank you very much. Anybody else in the room who'd like to testify on House Bill 58? Seeing none, is there anybody online, Pierre? Committee, what's your pleasure? Moved by Senator Schuler. Discussion? Question? Pierre?
Senator Case,
Aye.
Senator Furphy,
Excused, excuse me.
Senator Schuler. Aye. Vice Chair Cooper,
Aye,
Chairman Linden.
excused.
That's also got an appropriation, so you have
Yes,
to
sir,
do
it
this
does.
one, too.
Senator Ellis, would you be willing to carry that on the floor for us? Thank you. Okay, that takes care of that. Our next bill on the agenda, we are going to be short of time on this bill, but it is House Bill 77 engrossed. I thought I saw Representative Washut here.
You were.
He was? Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. See ya.
Don't know where he went. Okay.
Is there anybody that would like to present the bill? Not really, it's okay.
Not really.
It's an individual bill, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's an individual bill, isn't it?
It's got a lot of individuals.
Yes, it does. Senator Ellis is on it. Did she slip out on us?
Yeah, I think she did.
Is he coming? All right.
Being on it and presenting are two different things.
Yeah, it is.
So it just seems to add this threatening to simple assault, right?
It seems to.
And is simple assault a misdemeanor?
Representative Washut, we were about to throw you to the dogs here.
Thank you for waiting, Mr. Chairman.
It's an important bill. We need to listen to it. So,
Mr. Chairman, committee, I bring you House Bill 77, amendments to simple assault. And the genesis of this bill is that it came to me from our chief of police in my community, who talked to me about situations where an individual was quivering in fear as an individual towered over him, threatening him, but never took a punch, never attempted to batter him. And that wasn't a crime. And in the chief's home state, that would have been a crime. And so we looked, and there were several states that defined the crime of assault differently than we do here in Wyoming. So here in Wyoming, the crime of assault requires an attempted battery. And in a way, that's almost nonsensical because we have a separate attempt statute. So an attempted battery could be prosecuted under the attempt statute. And to create a separate assault statute where the only element is an attempted battery doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So what this bill does is takes us back to a legal definition of assault that is commonly found in many legal dictionaries. When you look up the crime of assault, you will see a term like threatening and menacing behavior that leads a reasonable person to believe that they are about to be battered. And I think of this in terms of a self-defense situation. If someone is towering over you, threatening to punch you in the face, how long do you wait before you act in self-defense? right? Would you say, well, he hasn't committed a crime yet. I guess I got to wait till he takes the first punch. And so what this does is changes the assault statute to include this threatening and menacing conduct. I emphasize that this is a conduct violation. This is not an intent. A reasonable, prudent person observing this behavior would have to conclude that a battery was imminent, right? But if someone were to intervene at that moment, perhaps a bouncer in a bar intervenes before somebody gets punched, has a crime occurred? And under present law, a crime would not have occurred. But had it not been for that individual intervening, we don't know what could have happened. And so what this does is, again, it takes us back to a more common law understanding of the crime of assault, that it's more than just an attempted battery, but those threatening and menacing conduct that would lead a reasonable, prudent person to believe that they are about to be battered. And that's what the bill does. Stand for questions.
Thank you, Representative Washington. I see this isn't a gross bill. Can you tell me what was changed in the House?
Excuse me, I did.
I see this was an engrossed bill. Can you tell me what the changes were?
Originally, this bill was drafted by our third-year law students over at the university in a practicum course with our LSO attorneys. And originally, they had included the domestic violence statute under this bill. And in the House committee, the concern was that a conviction under the domestic violence statute could lead to a lifetime ban on your firearms rights under federal law that we can't control here. And there was concern that, if someone, had punched out the sheetrock but had not actually harmed anybody, did we want them to lose their firearms rights? And that was the reason why the original bill was amended to take out all that domestic violence section, just leaving it in Title VI.
Thank you, sir. Questions for Representative Washington? Senator Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just refresh my mind, I guess, a little bit. With simple assault, would that be a misdemeanor, the way it is without adding this new definition? Or simple assault, is it
Simple assault is a misdemeanor
a misdemeanor?
and does not carry a jail sentence on first offense.
And I have a follow-up if I could.
Go ahead, Senator Schuler.
So, Mr. Chairman, is it going to be difficult for law enforcement to be able to not only define this, but to charge someone with this, do you think? Or, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Senator, Mr. Chairman, Senator,
Representative Washington.
I don't think so. When you see this type of behavior, you recognize that, would I intervene or would I just stand there and watch? And so a law enforcement officer clearly, when presented with this set of facts, would know that a crime is committed. So if the situation is cooled, maybe the parties are separated, a citation could be issued to the offending party in a crime like this. But it's distinguishable. It's this reasonable, prudent person test is used in many areas of criminal law. And you think about the Fourth Amendment, right? No unreasonable searches and seizures. So reasonableness is a common aspect of what police officers deal with in lots of areas.
Any other questions for the representative? Seeing none? Is there any other testimony in the room? Mr. Mooney, come in. Come on up. If you would introduce yourself for the public and share your thoughts with us, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Bill Winnie, Sublette County. A little bit of background so you understand where I'm coming from. 30 years active duty in the Navy, 5 years of which was in command of 2 ships. And that puts you in a position of acting as an Article 15 authority. The military calls it non-judicial punishment, but nevertheless, you're much like a justice of the peace, for instance. Probably heard something like 700 cases across those 5 years. The good news is only 8 of those occurred in my submarine. And I heard 8 cases the first week on my larger ship. Under military law, when somebody steps toward you aggressively, maybe towers over you, whatever, that represents an assault unconsummated by a battery. And I had that something like that occur to me or happen to me long after retirement. And it later arose in a civil proceeding, and I mentioned that. And there was no light in anybody's eyes that that might have represented something menacing, or as you will. And so I look at what's in this bill and I support it. I believe it's the right thing to do because it is, if it's an aggressive approach, in my case, I was caused to step back. The result of it was I put up a security camera system at my front door so that if it occurred again, I would have a recording. At the end of the day, I support the bill. Subject to your questions, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Winnie? Thank you, Mr. Winnie. Anyone else in the room would like to share their thoughts on this? Pierre, do we have somebody online? If you could bring him on, please. Mr. Thompson, if you'd mic up and turn your video on, we'd sure like to hear your opinions.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Alan Thompson. I'm the Executive Director of WASCOP, the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police. And we have people in our membership that do support this bill. Our association as a whole hasn't taken a strong stance either way, but I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. I think the good representative that presented the bill to you today answered the law enforcement questions and the applicability. I do think it could be a tool that law enforcement could use, and I understand the difficulty in maybe proving this type of activity. But if you're looking in places like bars, public locations, most people's front doorstep, we do have the technology of video available more and more across our state, and that would tend to show this type of action and help be able to prove it should it be needed in court. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee may have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Any questions from Mr. Thompson? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We appreciate your input.
Thank you, Mr.
Anybody
Chairman.
else on Pierre? Okay, no one else in the room that'd like to testify? And we'll close public comment. Committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll move the bill.
Moved by Senator Schuler. Any discussion? Seeing none, Chair, would you like to call the roll, please?
Senator Case?
Aye.
Senator Furphy?
Excused.
Senator Schuler?
Aye.
Vice Chair Cooper?
Aye.
Chairman Linden?
Excused.
3 ayes, 2 excused.
Thank you, Pierre.
Do we have an answer?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, do we have an answer if we can meet on adjournment on Monday?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, let's do that.
So, committee, on Monday, we have 4 bills left to consider. And with one of them being House Bill 125, which may take a little longer. We're going to make a good hard run at them, starting at 11 a.m. Monday morning. Do what we can, and then we may likely have to carry over into Monday evening. So Pierre will set a meeting up for us in a room, and with that said, this meeting is adjourned.
Knocking out 40 minutes, 3 bills, good work.
Very easy.
So